August 2024, you wrote that Farage didn't cause the riots following the Southport stabbings, but could help settle them by addressing root causes like immigration and integration. Do you think he's done enough since to tackle these issues, or has he leaned too much on the provocative rhetoric, as some critics claim?
I think he's been absolutely bloody useless on the riots. He has said repeatedly that he knew of things that had been kept secret by the Starmer administration, which, if revealed, would be the scandal of our age, or words to that effect. Do you
Yeah.
remember that, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, where is he? Why isn't he saying that? Why did he not use his parliamentary privilege to get up in Parliament and not compromise the Axel Ruder-Cabana case that was being, which was going through the courts at the time? There was no need to do that, but he had absolutely the right and the ability to call out Keir Starmer for brandishing all those who were protesting as far right, to call out Merseyside police for not getting ahead of the problem, to call out Yvette Cooper on the same issues, to call all three of them out for holding the identity of Axel Ruder-Cabana secret, describing him colloquially as a Welshman, therefore cloaking his true identity. When we think of a Welshman, we think of someone out standing in his field with a bunch of sheep. We don't think of a frizzy haired, second generation, radicalized Rwandan. And that's what we had. The killer was second generation Rwandan. And we've got to be clear about his ethnic origin because it is relevant to the killings in Southport. And Nigel is silent now. Nigel didn't talk at all, hasn't spoken once about Peter Lynch, a man, a grandfather who was arrested for what he said, not what he did. The charges were against him were that he committed violence, but all the evidence put forward against Peter Lynch was about what he said and what he had on his placard, not what he did. He was incarcerated for 2 years and 8 months, and he died. He hanged himself in prison a month later. That is a scandal, isn't it, Andrew?
Oh,
That
totally a scandal, absolutely. But why
where's
do you? I
Nigel
mean,
on it?
it's
Where's
a
Nigel on it?
it's a fairly obvious point, isn't it? But why do you think Nigel's doing it? Is his only focus to get elected and to be prime minister, whatever the cost? He can get rid of all the policies. All he cares about power. Is that what you're saying?
That is precisely what I'm saying. And that is why he is precisely a very dangerous man.
And in terms of the spat, let me put it that way, with Rupert Lowe and Nigel, where do you see that going now?
Well, I think Nigel has made a fundamental mistake at multiple levels. Politically, he's made a mistake because Rupert is popular, contrary to what Nigel and his Faragista followers would like to say. Rupert is very popular with reform voters, and he's known across the country. And people like Aaron Banks say, well, Twitter's not the real world. Well, let me tell you something, Aaron Banks. Most of Reform UK's grassroots and supporters are on Twitter, on X. They know exactly who Rupert is and they know exactly what's happened. And so it's politically, it's disaster for him. You look at the number of likes and things Nigel's getting on his tweets, they pale in significance by comparison, in pale in numbers compared to Rupert Lowe. So politically, I think it's a disaster. Ideologically, it's a disaster. Rupert was saying the right things. I know that it's uncomfortable to talk about mass deportations because it's a very robust policy. It's a policy that people will be uncomfortable delivering because it means upheaval. But these people that are in this country that need to be deported are here illegally. And if we're not prepared to deport them, the message we're sending out to the rest of the world is come to the United Kingdom. We are incapable of defending our borders. How can someone who bangs the drum of sovereignty not understand that we have to deport every single illegal migrant?
Yeah.
They go hand in hand.
Oh no,
And
you're
Rupert
absolutely
was
right. And you look at how Trump's done it. No exceptions. This is it. It's an absolute take away the incentive to come here. And the other big dividing thing is the attitude to Tommy Robinson, who's got very vocal supporters. Where do you stand on Tommy?
Look, I don't know Tommy Robinson. People, so the BBC want people like me to say, I love Tommy Robinson, so that they can say, look at Ben Habib, he's a far right, nutcase. He loves Tommy Robinson. And other people want to ask me about Tommy Robinson because they're fearful that I might do what Nigel Farage does, which is continually throw Tommy Robinson under a bus. That's what Nigel does. Every time he's asked about Tommy Robinson, he says, well, he's a far right nutcase and I've done more to rid this country of the far right and blah, blah, blah. And he absolutely lays into Tommy Robinson. I don't know Tommy Robinson. All I can say is that Tommy Robinson has been targeted by the government. He is a political prisoner, without shadow of a doubt. And I can say that absolutely, as I say, without a shadow of a doubt, because it was the Attorney General of this country, a political appointment, who interceded in a civil case and decided to throw the book at Tommy Robinson. So when Nigel gets up and says, oh, I'm going to explain to Elon Musk why Tommy Robinson deserves to be in jail, Nigel doesn't know the facts. Or if he knows the facts, he's ignoring them.
Yeah, and I think whatever people think, and contempt of court and interrupting a rape trial and all those sort of stuff, there's some sort of punishment in order to make the legal system maintain its trust. But putting somebody in solitary confinement for what's effectively 18 months, it sounds like torture, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I read, I don't know if you did, I read the judgment, I think 2 days ago,
Yeah.
a few days ago from the High Court, where his appeal was rejected. You know, he made an application
Yes.
to be let out of solitary. And Shabana Mahmood, who is the Secretary of State, the case was obviously, against Shabana Mahmood to have him released. She came out and fought the case against releasing him from. So she's another political appointment. The Secretary of State's a political appointment. Why do they wish to keep this man in solitary confinement? And some of the reasons given in the judgment are that his life would be threatened because there are Muslims in the jail. So you remove someone's civil rights because they may be threatened.
Yeah.
Surely it's those who are threatening him that need to be put into solitary confinement, not the individual who's threatened. It's a bit like that Jewish gentleman who was told by the police when he was near the Palestinian marches
Yes.
that unless he removed himself, he would be arrested. He was a law-abiding British citizen on the streets of London. How dare you threaten him with arrest because you fear he may be attacked? And it's the same argument made in the Tommy Robinson case.
Yeah. It's interesting, as you know, Elon's father, Errol Musk, is on my show all of the time. He thinks that Tommy is the new Nelson Mandela, or may be prime minister one day. Do you see that?
It's not about. So I want to get away from the politics of individuals. This is where it's all gone wrong with Nigel. His persona is so big.
Yeah.
Tommy Robinson's persona with a group of people in this country is massive. It's not about Tommy Robinson. It's not about Tommy Robinson. It's not about Nigel. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the United Kingdom and its people. And the fact that Tommy Robinson is in jail as a political prisoner, that should worry all of us, whether you're left, right, whatever. That should worry all of us.